got a feeling, a great feeling from Jimmy Lakey. Jimmy Lakey in the morning makes me feel alive. Woke me up this morning, now I'm up and on my way. Oh, 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 yeah, what a great way to start your day, the Lakey way.
Well, there I am. How's everybody doing this morning? Glorious day the Lord has made. The choir was singing, and you can't stop the choir when they're singing. They get very angry. And I realized that the show sheets and everything I had printed was still in the other room. So I jumped up from my chair, ran in there, and it's like the old-time days of radio, back when you'd have you had hard breaks and soft breaks, and you'd have somebody yell at you down the hall, Lakey, you're on. Jimmy, you're on. And I'd come running, the choir would be singing, and I'd like, 15 minutes has passed since the last break, and I didn't even realize that. So anyway, we're glad to have all of you here on the program. Jimmy is my name. It's the glorious day the Lord has made, and I'll remind you that today is, are you ready for this? It is Wednesday, Hump Day, November the 19th day of November, year of our Lord, 2025. Pleasured, pleased, and thrilled to have you here on the program today. We'll dive into some headlines here. Congress has acted to release the Epstein files. Anybody giddy about that? I hear all sorts of expectations and levels of expectations, people that think it's going to be epic, and finally the big guys are going to go down, and then other people say, it's not going to be much. It's going to be a lot of redactions. I think it's kind of been pretty much admitted what we knew, that were suspected, that Epstein was some kind of an asset, whether it was CIA or whether he was Mossad, whatever. There's a lot of speculation out there because it was Speaker Mike Johnson in the Congress who said, we're going to pass this thing. He said that yesterday or the day before, and they passed it yesterday, almost unanimous. One guy voted no, a Louisiana guy in principle, said, I'm going to vote no on this because we should not be interfering with the judicial process like this. So he's a principled no. And he represents the people of Louisiana in his district. He can take that back and see how they like that explanation, but good for him for having the principles, I guess, if he wants to stand up on that. But Mike Johnson, also from Louisiana, the Speaker of the House, came out and said on Monday, he said, we'll get it all, but there's going to have to be a lot of redactions and a lot of things that are going to be protected by national security. Well, you're thinking if the guy was just a low-rung pedophile, there's not a lot of things for national security that are going to have to be blocked. But Mike Johnson said there's going to be things that are blocked, and how he knows, I'm guessing it's just he's in the know. So anyway, Congress has acted to release the Epstein files. What say you? Are you having great expectations? They now have 30 days once Trump signs it, 30 days to release from the Department of Justice everything that is out there. People said, Donald Trump, why didn't you release this earlier? And now he did say, again, Trump, I think, has been mistaken on this. He's been kind of inconsistent because I think Donald Trump thinks this distracts from all the things he's doing. This is tabloid stuff, and he doesn't care. He says these people are crazy. He had a falling out and kicked Epstein to the curb many years ago when he found out he was becoming a pervert at the Mar-a-Lago, revoked his membership. I think that's why Donald Trump has been a little inconsistent. That's why Pam Bondi one day said, I have the files on my desk. Never mind, we'll release them tomorrow. And then the next day, what Pam Bondi say? Pam Bondi said, they're the wrong files. They said the wrong ones. But I told them by sundown today or opening of the office in the morning, they better have those files from New York that were hidden in my office. And then suddenly she says, there's nothing here in my office. They've been all over the map, and I think a lot of it, maybe it's the national security stuff, maybe it's the agency chatter saying you got to be careful here. Epstein was somebody. But I also think there was a lot of it that Donald Trump just thought it was a distraction. He was out trying to save the world, make peace on earth, goodwill towards men, end wars. And people were not talking about his accolades that he deserved around the globe, but they were instead talking about the tabloid essence of the Epstein files. I think you do have to put this all in perspective for all of you. Lower your expectations. Anytime you think they're going to bring down one of the big guys, anytime you think the truth about the deep state, the bureaucrats, and the powerful elites in our country, anytime you think that truth is about to come out, usually you're gainfully disappointed, and that's just how it works. And I have hope that one day we will purge the cesspool that the elites represent, the scum that they represent. But again, keep expectations low. Hopefully it will overperform, and over deliver and under promise. So keep it all in perspective, if you will. And I'll also say this: any of these people out there making a big deal about it now, squawking about, I saw John Hickenlooper, our feckless little putsy senator barmaid that went to the U.S. Senate from Colorado. He was posting about the Epstein files as if he was some righteous man that had no sins. He was just very self-righteous. And you're like, John Hickenlooper, I know you might have been drunk part of the time, but when those rare moments where you might have sobered up as the barmaid, John Hickenlooper, did you ever squawk about the Epstein files when your boy Sleepy Joe Poopy Pants Biden was in office? It's really intellectual dishonesty. The media won't report it, but we'll call it out here, that when people like John Hickenlooper, the feckless barmaid senator from the great state of Colorado, when he's out there squawking about Jeffrey Epstein, and yet he's been in Congress and in office for pretty much the entire time that Jeffrey Epstein has been arrested twice, gone to prison, committed suicide, all that stuff. John Hickenlooper's been there the whole time, and I don't think Hickenlooper's ever even mumbled a word salad in a drunken state about Epstein, so let alone when he's sober. So anyway, there's a lot of hypocrisy out there. We'll see what comes out of it. The Epstein files are set to be released, I believe. I don't know if Trump has signed this thing yet, but it was going to his office almost immediately. The Senate voted on unanimous consent, which means they don't have to go to a big floor vote and a debate, etc. So they did that. There's a breaking story. I found it funny this morning when I logged on to looking at some news sites and just seeing if I missed anything overnight. And one of those was a quite funny one. I called it the Great Bacon Slap. The Great Bacon Slap. If you go to Fox News this morning, there was a headline that says, right before the police showed up, a man was looking for trouble, I guess, and he slapped. Let me just read the headline. I think it's a funny headline. A man attempts to burn a Quran. Well, the headline was, he also slapped the Quran with a slab of bacon in Dearborn, Michigan, and I call it the Great Bacon Slap. Police arrived just after the guy slapped it with bacon, and that was a no-no. Anti-Islamicist activists and pro-Muslim counter-protesters clashed on Tuesday, that'd be yesterday, by the way, in Dearborn, Michigan, prompting a heavy police presence. Dearborn is home to one of the largest populations in the country of Muslims and has become a recent target for activists who accuse it of operating under Sharia law. According to news sources, the clash began when Jake Lang, who participated in the January the 6th Capitol riot, they say, got to throw that one in there, arrived on Michigan Avenue and attempted to burn the Quran. Now they reported he held up a lighter, attempting to light the religious text on fire, but counter-protesters knocked it out of his hands. Then he slapped it with a slab of bacon before a counter-protester grabbed the book and took off with it. Lang and his group later marched towards City Hall ahead of the City Council meeting Tuesday night. Police maintained a perimeter on the sidewalks on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn, Michigan, intervening briefly when the clash escalated following Lang's attempted burning of the book and the slapping of the bacon. Not wise. I don't think that's probably very wise if you're going to protest. I don't think you need to be slapping the Quran with bacon or attempting to burn it any more than you need to slap the Bible with something and try to burn it. I think there's better ways to protest. But anyway, the guy's safe, but I just thought the headline was more funny than the actual story. The man slapping the Quran with bacon, the Great Bacon Slap of 2025. Members of Congress, as you see this, some members of Congress are telling military officers or military members that they should defy illegal orders, which I guess they can defy illegal orders, but it's quite curious that this video has now surfaced, and it is a group of Democrat lawmakers with military and intelligence backgrounds releasing a video urging members of the service to, quote, refuse illegal orders, a message that conservatives are blasting as a call to defy Donald Trump and his Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. The 1-minute video features Senator Elissa Slotkin of Michigan, a Democrat, of course, and it was viewed more than 1.6 million times, features 6 lawmakers invoking their prior service and telling members of the military and the intelligence community that the threats to our Constitution are coming from right here, and we got to stand up and refuse illegal orders. Now, it's interesting that they're telling the CIA, which evidently was covering up a lot about Mr. Crooks, the attempted assassin of Donald John Trump, and they lied a lot about that, the FBI as well. Are they giving a wink and nod, say, hey, listen, if you try another assassination attempt, we got your back? It's very peculiar. It seems like a dangerous precedent being set by members of Congress, but yet every time the members of Congress in the Democrat Party wake up anymore, they're setting more and more dangerous precedents. So if you haven't seen the video, it is circulating out there, but it's former members of the military and intelligence community that are now Democrats serving in the hallowed halls of Congress, basically saying we have a threat to the Constitution right here, and you should defy military orders given by the commander-in-chief. So watch that one. That's going to be, I don't see how that one plays out very well. I mean, it may play to the very radical base of the party, but I just don't think that plays well in Peoria. I don't think a video like this by members of Congress plays well when we have a video like this doesn't play well when you have flyover country. I just don't think that's a thing that people view that the Congress should be doing. That's my opinion. Give me yours. All right, one more quick question. I want to go to my first guest of the morning. A survey has come out about things that you want to or don't want to talk about at Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is just over a week away at the time of the broadcast of the show and the live stream that's coming, the live stream of the show and the podcast where thousands of earballs will gaze upon this show with your ears and hear it, thousands of people by the end of the day, end of the week. So 47% of Americans say, put me at the kids' table. 47% of Americans say sitting at the kids' table sounds more appealing than ever this Thanksgiving. Millennials are the most likely to agree they want to go to the kids' table. Would you rather deal next Thursday with your uncle who won't stop talking politics, or your bat crap crazy aunt who's a Karen and purple hair and she has Trump derangement syndrome? Or would you rather just sit there with a bunch of little kids that are flipping peas at each other and can't sit still? I'm thinking probably I'm going to go to the kids' table as well. Wine company commissioned a poll, and they figured this out, that a lot of people lean on alcohol. Producer Chad, sorry. A lot of people lean on alcohol. Delilah, that's you too. Don't laugh. A lot of people lean on alcohol to get through the Thanksgiving dinner, but it's responsible for a lot of the fights that happen across the table. So a lot of folks say, I've got mother-in-laws here, let me drink the booze, and I don't blame you. But a lot of times that alcohol leads to fights and discussions on topics that probably could have been avoided had you not been sipping the sauce. According to the survey by the wine company, there's 10 topics that we're hoping to avoid on Thanksgiving. And this is our question of the day. What is it that you prefer to talk about or not prefer to talk about at Thanksgiving? Give us your story. Number one on the list is politics. You can pretty much bank on it topping the list every year. People don't want to have a big political discussion at Thanksgiving for the most part. I agree with that. Money, pointed questions like, how much are you making these days, honey? That's a topic that people don't want to talk about in that light. Your appearance or weight. Don't shame anyone for what's on their plate. Oh, honey, I don't know if you need seconds, if you know what I mean, bless your heart. That would be a Southern way to do that. Don't shame anyone for their weight. Don't do that. Religion. People saying around the table, why don't you start coming to church with us? I bet you when you were little, you used to go to Sunday school every week, and now you don't. That kind of religion talk is not preferred by people in the survey. Don't talk about their ex. Avoid questions like, hey, why isn't Jerry here this year? Where's Jerry? We miss Jerry. Yeah, don't do that. Mental health. It's a little bit heavy for dinner chat. So if you're on the Prozac, or if you're going to therapy and you're really, that's great. I'm glad you're getting help, but don't bring that up at the table. Are you still seeing that therapist? Is he helping you? Don't do that. That's a bad topic. Number 7 on the list is work or career issues. If you know they aren't going well for you or someone else, don't bring it up. Don't poke the bear there, if you will, and don't use it as a venting session for your own career issues. Personal struggles, again, the survey says keep it light. Don't bring up the negative. Oh, I see you're still struggling with the little alcohol there, aren't you? Little judgy. All my judgy voices are Southern. You ever notice that? I'm Southern, so I can do that. Don't talk about current relationships, like when are you going to get married? What happened to that beautiful little girl you used to bring around and now she doesn't come? Yeah, I've heard that many times in my life. Other family members, try to avoid bashing or gossiping about someone who isn't there. Don't talk about other family members. Just cause a fight and bring down the mood. Don't do that. What is it that you like to talk about or prefer to talk about or will avoid at Thanksgiving? That is your topic and question of the day. All right, I'm running very late here, so I got to get to Richard C. Lyons, our great friend and historian. Richard C. Lyons is the author of a great couple of books, and we bring him into the studio now. Richard, thanks for your patience, sir. Welcome in.
Oh, good to see you, Jimmy.
Any topics of conversation that you want to avoid at Thanksgiving? Do you have any?
No, I think
you're like, oh God.
I really think politics is number one. And it used to be years ago, before the government became part of everyday life. I mean, literally, you deal with the government every day. It used to be the government was somewhere else, and you didn't have to worry about it, and it just functioned, and you didn't have to take stands of which side you were on, or who you like, who you don't. It's become, government by its expansion has become very divisive because you have to take one side or the other. I agree with you entirely. That should be the first thing you don't talk about.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you may know you have a cousin that has like mind, and you're, take a stroll down to the park or something, throw the football. That you can do, but around the table, when you know you have your woke Aunt Karen and you have all these various family members, don't do it around the Thanksgiving table. Just leave it alone, and don't do that. Now, some people, just to defy their family, are going to show up in a MAGA hat. And they're going to do that just to piss off the other family members.
That'll start a food fight.
Yeah, that sure will. Richard C. Lyons, author of The DNA of Democracy and the Shadows of the Acropolis of the DNA of Democracy. He's our guest here today. We've just watched something very unique, Richard. I want to get your take on it. You're a historian. We have almost a unanimous vote in the House and a very hefty number of people in the Senate vote to release the Epstein files. Let me set this up and I'll let you have it. I think the Trump administration kind of bungled this up. They campaigned against it. Then Pam Bondi said, we're going to release it. It's on my desk. Oh, it's not on my desk. I'll have it to me by tomorrow. And then all of a sudden it was a hoax. There's nothing to see here. And now Trump's urging Republicans. He said, let's vote for it. Let's get the Epstein files out here. I guess my question is there ever anything in parallel in history of which we have a government supposedly voting to expose itself and its fellow members for their let's say, indiscretions that they might have done? And is this Trump playing 3D chess here? Because some people say, the Democrats are going to regret what they wished for. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I would say, something historical is going on, and that Saudi Arabia is literally, the head of Saudi Arabia is in Washington, D.C., and talking about signing the Abraham Accords. This would be a major historical event of enormous import for the peace of a region that's been war-torn for centuries. Well, instead of that, we're being treated to this soap opera going on with the Epstein files. And it just tells you that, soap operas sell, whereas, things that are very important usually are ignored. And it's a lot, of what the media has to do. They seek to inflame passion rather than think about, well, isn't this wonderful? There's going to be peace in the Middle East, perhaps, for the first time in how long? Well, they'd rather hear about who was on Epstein's plane going to his island. And, these are all rogues. I mean, we all know Bill Clinton is a rogue. And so his name is going to be there many times. Okay, well, we knew this about him 30 years ago. So, but they have to drain the barrel in hopes of finding the name Donald Trump at the bottom. And in some way, it implicates him in some wrongdoing.
Isn't that the ultimate sign of the Trump derangement syndrome? I go back to recently, they have the government shutdown, which the Democrats pretty much get absolutely nothing. They get a vote sometime in December on a topic, but it was a shutdown for no reason. They really still can't tell you why they shut the government down all those 40-something days. And now you have, we can't shut the government down. This hasn't worked. Okay, let's go back to this Epstein thing. We've known this. These Epstein files have been sitting in the Justice Department for a long time, including under sleepy, poopy pants Joe Biden. All of a sudden, it's like they're grasping at something to destroy the guy. Government shutdown, the Epstein files. If people can't figure this out, that the Democrats have gone crazy, they need to figure it out.
Well, and they're parallel. Think about it, Jimmy. During Trump's first term, they had the Russia hoax that they invented to destroy him. And then they had COVID. This time they have Epstein, and they have the government shutdown in order to cripple his economy, Trump's economy. And I think it's true. I think they did it strategically, thinking they could win either way. Either they will win in public opinion that the shutdown was necessary, or that they would win because they crippled the economy so badly that going into the election, into the midterms, they'd win back the House.
If you're listening to the podcast versions later in the day where thousands of earballs gather throughout the week and listen to the show, Richard C. Lyons is the voice you hear here on the Lakey Unleashed podcast and streamcast and livecast, etc. He's the author of The DNA of Democracy, Volume 1, and The Shadows of the Acropolis, Volume 2. Richard C. Lyons is my guest. Let's go back to this thing of it used to, you said it around the Thanksgiving table, it used to be you didn't have to kind of stake out this controversial stand on politics. It used to just be a lot more accepted. It used to not be that the opposing party spent years and years making stuff up, trying to find a scandal, not talking about their own policies. I don't think anybody knows what the Democrats stand for in Washington right now, except that they hate Donald Trump. I don't know what their policies they bring to the table. Give us the perspective from a matter of history. How did we get here, and is it possible to move back from the era of name calling and this deep state, or are we too far gone down that path?
Well, historically, if you go back to, say, the 50s, Jimmy, both parties believed, if you equate it to a football field, both parties agreed to stay between the 40-yard lines. They agreed on everything about the Constitution, right? They agreed about free enterprise. They agreed on being patriotic about the country. They agreed that the police force was necessary to protect citizens. Now we've got a thing where we're both backed up to our goal lines, right? And the conservative part of the country is defending the founding principles of the nation, whereas the other party, the Democrat Party, is saying, we're going to blow you out of your end zone. We're going to take over the country with socialism. And everything that we agreed about in the 1950s, we don't agree anymore. They have lurched so far left because they've been incrementally institutionalizing socialism. Now you've got Mondami, and this guy is now whole out socialist in the capital of our free enterprise system. So this is where they are. He is standing in the middle of our end zone where we want to defend free enterprise and saying, the hell with you guys, I'm a socialist. So that's why tempers are flaring. We don't have a lot of ground where we agree anymore.
It's the reason that some of the obvious evils that we always would agree they're evil. We may have different viewpoints on how to treat it, but these are evil things. Is that evil? Does that come across through education, through the breakup of the family? How did we get to this point to where I know the Bible says there will come a day where what is evil will be called good and what is good called evil. So there's a biblical perspective, but how did we get here as Americans, let's say in the last 20, 30, 40 years?
Yeah, it's been since the 1960s when, as you rightly say, the Democrat Party literally took over the education system. If you go to any university now, you can pick out 100 professors at random, and 95 of them will be very liberal. It's not even liberal anymore. It's socialist. They will be socialist. For some reason, there is an attraction in socialism which says there is a utopia there if we only get rid of enough people who believe otherwise, right? Yeah. We have to sideline everybody who disagrees with us, and then we're going to be in heaven because we're going to take all the money from the people who don't agree with us and give it to the people who do, and that will somehow equalize everything. But what it starts out with is a denial of private property, a denial of allowing you your own earnings, a denial of individual liberty. You have to deny everything in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights to arrive at a successful socialism.
Again, the voice of Richard C. Lyons. I'll tell you how to get a copy of his books, the DNA of Democracy, Volume 1, Shadows of the Acropolis, Volume 2. And he's a fantastic writer. And if you want to understand how we got here and where it all began, the DNA of Democracy is a great place to go. Richard, I guess as a historian, as you're watching America in this crazy time where you can't talk even gentle politics at the table because Aunt Karen may go crazy and throw food at you. You've got all this craziness around us. Democrats are like, Epstein, let's bring up Epstein. We've had the list for 20 years, but it's Donald Trump. I mean, they've gone back crap crazy. I know you've written a book, The DNA of Democracy, Volume 1, Shadows of the Acropolis, Volume 2. What are the lessons to be learned, and how we escape from here? We can learn from our past if we know it, and learn from history, or we're doomed to repeat it. Give me your perspective. I'm sure that there's some tie-ins and parallels to previous moments in history.
Well, I think if you look again at Trump's first term, when they were shooting at him, it was with a cannon. And the cannon was all the different agencies combined with the Democrat Party and the media trying to take a cannonball and put it through his head. Now they're going for a gun at the bottom of the Epstein barrel, and the gun is empty. It has no bullets in it. So we should be very happy with where we are compared to where we were in his first term. And now they're shutting down government, and they're seen to be the desperate party that they are. Previously, they had COVID, and they literally, told everybody to stay home for a year, and we're able to do that. And we're able to inject people with a foreign substance, right, by government's demands. Now now we've seen that. So we're actually recovering from the onslaught that we suffered in Trump's first term of Democrat desperation.
So I love it. That's the optimistic approach. We're actually better off than we were, Lakey. That's scary because it seems to be crazy. But I think you are right. These attacks and desperate grasp of power, they are really seem to be much more distant than ever before. And they're getting debunked almost in real time. Before, the old adage, a lie, a rumor has a chance to get halfway around the globe before the truth gets out of bed and puts on his pants. I think with shows like this and podcasters and bloggers and just Donald Trump's willingness to take on the media, a lot of times these things get debunked pretty quickly, and they are exposed for the desperate attempts of power grabbing and demeaning Donald Trump, as opposed to ones that used to take 2 or 3 years to debunk. Literally, they're debunked in 2 or 3 minutes many times.
Yeah, and remember, they used to pronounce lies in rapid fire, but all the truth that they hid about the Russia hoax was classified.
Yeah.
No, we can't release that. Believe us. We just saw this. Believe what we're telling you, but you can't look over here because it's classified. So that too is gone. And shows like yours, Jimmy, are, you're right. It's in real time. Yeah. You question what they say now, no matter what they say. So if it's regarding Epstein, before they know it's classified, we can't have those files out. Now they're saying, no, release it. Yeah. Let it go. And it's going to be an empty barrel full of Democrat names.
Yeah. Richard C. Lyons, author of The DNA of Democracy and Shadows of the Acropolis. They're 2 different books, but they are parallel and work great with each other. You can, but you shouldn't have one without the other. Richard, let me have you plug the books because they're very strategic for folks who are students of history and or want to learn more about the birth of this great country and maintaining this great country. Talk about The DNA of Democracy, Volume 1, Shadows of the Acropolis, Volume 2.
Well, the DNA of democracy, Jimmy, is all about how throughout history, the democracies have been very rare. Power shared by the people as opposed to tyrannical dictator is a very rare form of government. We had lightning in a bottle during the time of our constitutional convention, and that's what the DNA of democracy is about, how all of the previous republics and democracies lent to our Constitution. Shadows of the Acropolis, Volume 2, is how our government has gone off its founding foundations over the past 100 years with the creation of the administrative state and more decisions being made in Washington, D.C. than at the family dining table or with the local school. RichardCLyons.com. The books are available. Link up there. You can find them on Amazon as well. Richard, I appreciate you hopping on the program this morning, and they're great Christmas gifts, stocking stuffers, or if you're trying to tune out that crazy family discussion, I'm sure you can put on some headphones and pretend you're listening to something, but just read a book by Richard C. Lyons. I hope so, Jim. I hope they enjoy the read.
You got it. Richard C. Lyons, Richard C. Lyons, Lyons, Lyons.com. I appreciate him coming on the show and that perspective. As always, I like it, the optimism there that, hey, it's better than it used to be because they carried out that Russian hoax for many years, and a lot of folks still don't really know the truth about that, but that was a lie. And now these lies are being debunked in real time, and they're very desperate going after the Epstein files after all these years. All right, very quickly, I want to remind you, my name is Jimmy Lakey. If you're listening on the streamcast, the live cast, welcome in. Unleashed from the confines of corporate radio, here doing our own thing for going on about 1 year and enjoying almost every minute of it. Indeed, don't forget, wherever platform you're listening to us on the show, if you're watching live on a Wednesday morning in the great state of Colorado or California or Maryland or Maine, maybe you're in Georgia. We know we got Missouri well represented. Arkansas is always checking in. Texas, folks, wherever you're listening to the program, if you're streaming it on the Facebook, the several Facebook feeds carry us, the YouTube feeds, the Twitter feeds, the Rumble feeds, you make a comment in the comment section, and those appear right into our studio, and producer Chad will vet those, very low standards, and those can pop up on the screen. So we'd love to have you participate in the program. Talking and picking up on the theme of what Richard C. Lyons was talking about, the way we have suddenly kind of started things that we used to be able to agree on, we're no longer able to agree on. And that's how you kind of look at the people in New York City and say, how the heck do they elect a commie named Mamdani in New York City? Education, lack of understanding, lots of different reasons for that. But I want to bring it to somebody who's lived through the tyranny of communism, the tyranny of a dictator. His name is Yukong Mike Chao. He's the chair of the Chinese Americans for the Constitution. The acronym for that is CAFC. And more than 50 years ago, Yukong Mike Chao witnessed firsthand how Mao Zedong, the socialist experiment, dismantled market competition, suppressed the innovation, plunged China into an economic ruin. And he's a survivor of that experience, and now he's the chairperson of Chinese Americans for the Constitution. Please welcome to the program, Yukong Mike Chao, into the show. Mike, welcome in, sir. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to the program. I appreciate you hopping in here. You lived through the Mao experiment, the revolution. That you've seen it. Your family saw it. You're now here safe and sound in America. When you watch what's happening in some of these cities in America, like New York City and Portland, Minneapolis, who's flirting with socialism and communism, if you could grab all these people that vote for these people by the throat and say, pay attention, what would you say to them? How do you get them to wake up to what they're flirting with in certain parts of America?
Yeah, I was totally shocked by the winning of Mamdani in New York City, right? I really want to warn the voters, you need, look through the illusion Mamdani gave to you. I personally experienced what happened in China about 60 years ago during Chairman Mao dictator. He promised all the communist, illusions. End of the day, he caused over 30 million deaths, starvation, and also, stagnant of innovation. So the country collapsed. So, in Cuba, in former Soviet Union, in North Korea, in China, again and again, it proved all the communist illusion will fail.
It's fascinating to see how we've fallen as a country into a place of just not understanding what we're asking for. Do you have any guess? I mean, obviously the people of China 50, 60 years ago, they kind of signed up for the revolution there, the Cultural Revolution by Mao Zedong, and they did it with I think they were well-intentioned. They had a lot of promises, as you said, illusions that were painted out. They thought they were true. Is it just the human nature of Americans and Chinese and just people in general that sometimes our lives aren't good, sometimes they suck, and so, hey, that sounds like a really good promise. Is it just well-meaning people that just need to learn a little bit more? Give me your thoughts there. I'm sure that's maybe what happened in China. They didn't realize what they were signing up for with Mao Zedong.
Absolutely. It's a human nature to want to get something like free, okay?
Yeah.
And, when Chairman Mao launched the Communist Revolution, he promised, each farmer peasants will have a piece of land, right? He grabbed the land from the landlord, redistribute to the peasants, mobilized to launch communist revolution. You know what? After a couple of decades, by 1950, just after he took power, within 1 decade, he implemented called communes under the communism. So grab the nation, state nationalized all the land. So he took all the land back to the government. The peasants did get nothing, right? So many empty promise, it delivered by like a politician like Mandani. End of the day, they cannot really generate any promise, any results to the real people, to citizens. So that's all built on empty promise, built against human nature, built against free market system, built against our America's founding principle.
You, since 2014, Mike Zhao is my guest, chairman of the Chinese Americans for the Constitution. You've been a leading voice against anti-Asian discrimination in college admissions, and that was a focus, and you've been in some other initiatives as well. But I want to kind of talk about what it was. You come to America as a young man, a young boy. You come here, family gets here, and you're like, hey, we're in freedom. And then suddenly by 2014, you're like, oh, I got to get involved. I got to stand up for something. This freedom is going to slip away. Kind of talk about your journey that woke you up to where you weren't just an immigrant into this country, but you realized people needed your voice and perspective. What led you to that moment?
Basically, is my pursuit of the American dream. When I came here, I was a poor foreign student. Brought less than $200 in my pocket, right? I got a good education, work hard, and achieve my American dream, like worked up to the director of global planning at Siemens Energy. But after that, I become passionate defending American dream. Around 2014, I found the politician in California introduced SAI 5, try to restore the affirmative action into California system. I began to vote, began to fight against that because I deeply believe America's founding principle, which is equal opportunity for everybody. Shouldn't, college admission should not be based on skin color or race. And then, a few months later, I found the Students for Fair Admission are launching lawsuits against Harvard, and they got basically attacked by the radical left media. So I stood up and I united many Asian community leaders, formed Asian American Coalition for Education. We fought alongside of Students for Fair Admissions, and for over 10 years, we finally won the Supreme Court ruling against Harvard, eliminated the race-based, college admission.
Yeah. You know what amazes me, and I was watching some of the comments in the chat rooms, and some go on the screen, some don't, is people, well, this is a capitalist country. People died because of capitalism. Last I knew, there's not anybody out there that loves communism. They love Mamdani, that's fighting and risking life and limb and going to China or to Cuba with $200 in their pocket, trying to get ahead. Instead, all these people that are fleeing these communist regimes and communist paradises that the left and Mamdani probably admire, they're risking life and limb in shanty boats coming across the ocean. They're desperately lining up at U.S. embassies to try to get papers to come into our country. So for all the critics of capitalism out there, it's funny that all the people that are in communism are wanting to come to this country to know freedom. It's baffling that none of these people, lovers of communism, are fighting to go to China and live the rest of their life.
You are exactly right. As a matter of fact, a few years ago, I wrote an op-ed at National Review. Actually talk about the same kind of concept. So many thousands of people waiting in line outside of a U.S. embassy worldwide, just want to get a visa. especially immigration visa to come to pursue American dream. But the radical left portray America as a racist country, right? Portray we have white supremacy here, white privilege. That's totally untrue. One point I want to make to your audience is, in America, the highest income, the best educated racial group are Asian Americans. They are not white American. So-called white, privilege or white supremacy is totally baseless.
Yeah, it is. And even at the time of a great peril on the streets, the George Floyd riots, race riots that happen on occasion, and they say how a horrible country America is, people from China, people from all these other countries still want to come here. And so while you have radical hippies living in the streets and defecating on the streets of San Francisco, talking about death to America, there's a heck of a lot of people that come from these little cesspool hellholes, and they want to come to our country because with its flaws, still the greatest nation on God's green earth. Let's talk about your work now. I appreciate your time, Mike, on the program. Yukong Mike Chow, he's the chairman of Chinese Americans for the Constitution. You might want to look that up. Also, the president of the Asian American Coalition for Education, a nationally recognized advocate for meritocracy and a steadfast defender of the U.S. Constitution. Mike, talk about the organizations that you're representing and how can folks learn more and or get involved?
Sure. The Chinese American for Constitution is an organization formed to fight against Proposition 50 in California. So we tried to defeat Governor Newsom's Proposition 50 to redistrict the congressional district in California. Unfortunately, we did not win. But right now, my focus is more on the education, restore, meritocracy in America. We already won the battle against affirmative action, which was historic. But currently, we want to restore the meritocracy in American colleges, especially restoring the standardized testing. Although standardized testing should not be the only criteria, but it is the most objective criteria to really measure the college readiness for all the applicants. We want to treat everybody equally, but in the meantime, we already know our STEM education really sucks. We want to pick the brightest and most talented students to go to our college.
Yeah. All right, there. I think the website's right there on the screen, ca4constitution.org. That's the right website, sir. I hope people will check it out and follow along the great work that you do. And keep telling your story, my friend, because Americans, especially the younger generations, need to hear that to recognize that a lot of folks still risk life and limb to get to this country to escape the kind of governments that we're trying to establish in places like New York City. It's Yukong Mike Chow, chairman of the Chinese Americans for the Constitution. There's the website you just saw on the screen, and we hope that you will check them out and support all the causes that Mr. Mike Chow is a part of. Mike, thanks for coming on the show, sir. I appreciate it.
Okay, my great pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You got it. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before I go to my next guest, Mr. Kenneth Abramowitz, waiting in the green room to hop on the stage. Please pay attention, kiddos. Everybody pay very, very close attention. You ever done something you regret? Like I had a car that I really loved, and it's one of the first cars that I kind of felt an attachment to. And I finally got to the place. I drove a lot of it got so many miles on it, and I said I need to get another one. And so, but I got rid of that one. There's no trade-in value, but it was my car. And so I watched it go out the driveway because it had stopped running, and I didn't want to put any more repair dollars in it. So I sold it, and somebody drove off, towed it out of the driveway. They had to go home and fix it. They're a little shade tree mechanic. And I loved that car. And after I listed it and got a buyer within a few minutes, because it was a very nice, great car. It was my favorite is my Porsche. And so the Porsche heads out the driveway, and I'm like tearing up going, oh, my car, my baby, I got to buy another one. I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to. But I am watching it. And then the phone keeps ringing. The text messages still come in. And I realized I probably underpriced it because for 2 days, people found the ad. And they're like, there was a bidding war going on for my old Porsche. And broke my heart. I said, I might have made a mistake. I might have priced that incorrectly. Listen, a car is one thing, but what you don't want to do is make a bad move or have regrets when it comes to real estate. If you're going to buy a home, cars can come and go, but a home, you may be in there, it may be there the next 15 years, and you want to make sure you get the best deal, set yourself up for that home to grow in value, their equity to grow up. You want to just make sure you make the right decision. It's a big decision, so you want to make the right decision. And I tell you, one of the things you owe yourself is to have a conversation with Sherry Cree. I know your bestie down at the office might have a part-time real estate job, and I know the neighbor down the street that is very nice when they walk the dog. They do real estate. But listen, you don't want to make the wrong mistake. You don't want to hire the wrong person just because of I saw her when she walked the dog, and I saw her at the PTA meeting, and she seems to be a nice person, or he seems to be nice. Listen, you need somebody that's going to make sure you don't make all those mistakes that you're going to regret later on. Get the very best price for your home. Get the very best price for the home you're buying. Price your home right so you don't have buyers or sellers regret. Have a conversation with Sherry. I know it's heading to Thanksgiving. You're not, I'm not going to list my home until next year. No, have that conversation now. Just pick up the phone, go to the website, call her and talk to her and say, hey, can we have a conversation? Maybe you do it right there on the phone. Just block off some time. Maybe you meet for coffee, whatever the case may be, but have a conversation, because the strategy of selling your home, pricing your home, listing your home, staging your home, what should you put money in before you sell? What should you not? What neighborhood should you be looking in? Maybe you're looking at a neighborhood that you don't know that something's that's in 10 years it's going to be a hellhole. Listen, Sherry's got all that expertise and she wants to help you. If you're in Colorado on the I-25 corridor, the Interstate 25 corridor, let's say from Boulder to Broomfield, Denver to Dacono, if you're in Fort Collins, Greeley, Windsor, Wellington, all those places, she can have a conversation. And if that by the chance she thinks there's a better fit that she knows, she can refer someone to you absolutely free. If you're in Parker, if you're in Aurora, if you're in Highlands Ranch, I mentioned Denver. If you want a loft property in downtown Denver near the new stadium coming up, she can talk about that. Maybe you want to start. There's a lot of development going on. Maybe you want to kind of get in the investment game. Homeswithsherry.com, 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 and you be sure to reach out to her and tell her you heard about another program. Homeswithsherry.com. Sherry Cree, a fantastic friend of the program, fantastic friend to our charity work, Rivers Promise, and just a wonderful person. I think you'll enjoy the conversation and its strategy, and then make the best decision so you don't regret that house decision like I regret getting rid of my Porsche decision. That's a sad day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, homeswithsherry.com. That's the website. All right, let me bring into the program our next guest, and it's fantastic to have Mr. Abramowitz back. I call him Mr. because he deserves all the respect in the world, and he has a website called SaveTheWest.com. Let's bring, if I hit the right button, Mr. Kenneth Abramowitz back to the stage. Mr. Abramowitz, welcome in, sir.
Great to be with you.
Pleasure to have you, sir. I appreciate you jumping in here. First of all, I mentioned the website. Why don't you go ahead and let's do that up front, not at the end. Talk about the website and Save the West.
About 10 years ago, I set up SaveTheWest.com when I realized that Western civilization, which is just a fancy word for democracy, is in mortal threat. So I set up the website and I started writing articles every 2 weeks. And it's a public service. It's complimentary. Anyone can sign up. And you'll get my article every 2 weeks, and it helps me think, and I share my thoughts with my audience.
You're also the author of The Multi-Front War, Defending America from Political Islam, China, Russia, Pandemics, and Racial Strife, and also the founder of SaveTheWest.com. Kenneth Abramowitz is my guest. If you're listening later in the program, later in the day on the podcast version, thousands of earballs will hear this show and or see this show throughout the course of the day, and we appreciate Mr. Abramowitz coming on, SaveTheWest.com. Let me get your thoughts. I want to talk about the Eric Adams had a meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu, and I want to talk about that in New York City. But I also want to get your take. Yesterday, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia was in the White House, fist bumping and handshaking and hugging and laughing it up with President Trump. There's some speculation that Saudi Arabia might join the Abraham Accords. Some people thought that maybe they would have joined had Trump already got a second term, but Joe Biden kind of burned up that relationship. Give me your thoughts about the meeting and the relationship that we're seeing with the president in Saudi Arabia. Why is it strategic? Is there a problem? And are they going to join the Abraham Accords?
That's a lot of questions.
It's a lot of them, isn't it? I wanted to get them all in at one time. Now I'll be quiet.
Okay. So Saudi Arabia used to be a bad country, used to be what I and others would call an Islamist country. They were trying to impose Islam on other people. Under the new leadership, roughly 10, 15 years ago, of Mohammed bin Salman, also known as MBS, he got Saudi Arabia out of the Islamist business. In other words, they're no longer trying to take over the world and convert everyone to Islam. They're just trying to be a Muslim country. And therefore, it's good for America to have a healthy relationship with Saudi Arabia. This is in contrast with Qatar and Iran, who are still in the Islamist business, so to speak. The stronger relations we have with Saudi Arabia and its friends, it reduces the power and influence of Qatar and Iran in the Islamist wing of the Muslim population. So, number one, it's a good thing. Number two, they're rich. It's always good to have rich friends. And so they can buy a lot of things, and they want to buy a lot of things, and they want to invest $1 trillion in America over the next, let's say, 5 years. And they want what we have. They want our technology, and they want our weapons. It's good to sell things to rich people. It produces jobs in America. However, when Saudi Arabia theoretically takes delivery in 6 years of these F-35s, they can pose a risk to Israel. So President Trump has a balancing act of helping Saudi Arabia protect itself and also make sure they don't get into a competition with Israel.
We also have a thing. People say, "Well, why are we playing nice with this country or that country?" I was talking about I'm going to talk about it tomorrow. The persecution and genocide of Christians in Nigeria, and you got to be careful how you deal with it, because countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like Nigeria, if you're not careful and you don't deal with them, well, China's waiting in the wing over here, going, "Hey, those crazy Americans won't deal with you. We'll deal with you. We'll get you what you want." How big is the footprint and the influence of China on this stage of why we need to be very strong in these relationships, even with countries that some people may frown wince their nose at, but we got to be careful. China's on the horizon.
That's a very good point. And if just pretend President Trump were on the in studio with us, he would say, "Look, these are not perfect countries. I can't make perfect countries, but I want the money of Saudi Arabia and Qatar and the other countries coming to America. I want to make America strong and great again," as he said many times. If I don't do it, they'll take their money and they'll invest it in China, and they'll send their oil to China and their natural gas to China. So I'm in effect bringing them into the American orbit. He doesn't use those words, but bringing them into closer to America. And we have competition. And he would say, "I want to win. I don't want our competition to win," exactly what you had said.
Yeah. I go to Rwanda for our charity work, Rivers Promise, and I'll be there, leaving there next week. About this time next week, I'll be en route to Rwanda. And I know early on after the Rwandan genocide, the Americans and the Chinese were kind of in competition. I know some of the people rebuilding the city, rebuilding just kind of an infrastructure. And Chinese won a lot of the contracts because they could send labor in and they could just do the work a lot cheaper that they would do. And now I know people in Rwanda that kind of regret that. And they're like, we need to decouple ourselves a little bit from the Chinese. It's fascinating to watch, though. The Chinese are out there from the continent of Africa to the Middle East. They want influence. They want to be a world player. And at some point, we've got to be out there, not the police person of the world, but we got to be out there building relationships. Or the Chinese are going to build a pretty big block against us.
Well, China has a couple of advantages over us. One you already mentioned: low costs, cheap labor. They bring in their own Chinese workers to build a certain project. They don't use locals, much to the dismay of the locals. And so they have a cost advantage. The second thing is the Chinese Communist Party is a criminal organization. So therefore, they can pay off the leaders of given countries. And it's amazing how easy it is to win a contract when you have a suitcase of cash and you leave it in the office of some leader or secretary of infrastructure, whatever they might be called. And so we don't do that. So that's another advantage that.
There are some Americans, and even on my conservative side, that they go to that phrase: "We're not the police person of the world. We can't be involved everywhere. We don't need to have these relationships." A very isolationist approach. Unfortunately, I don't think we have that luxury. Again, the level of involvement can be different, but we don't have the luxury to isolate ourselves. You've written an entire book called "The Multi-Front War: Defending America from Political Islam, China, Russia, Pandemics, and Racial Strife." Those things don't go away, and America is not defended if we stick our head in the sand and say, America first and America only. We can do America first, but you can't do American only. That's kind of the multi-front war. We've got to be engaged.
I agree 100%. You took the words out of my mouth. And I have an expression. The forces of evil are good at being evil, and the forces of good are bad at being good. So in my own way, I'm trying to close the gap between the forces of good and the forces of evil. We just have to be better at it. And the book was an encouragement to the government, to the public, to demand of the government that we do a better job competing with the forces of evil.
Yeah. SaveTheWest.com. Kenneth Abramowitz is my guest. I'd encourage you to go to the website. You also have the book. I encourage people to get that if you want to understand the multi-front war that we're facing and how to defend America from political Islam, China, Russia, pandemics, and racial strife. You founded SaveTheWest.com. People get the book. I think it kind of tells you what you're going to get, learn how to defend America from all those list of threats. If they go to SaveTheWest.com, Mr. Abramowitz, what will they find there?
On SaveTheWest.com, they'll find the article that I write every 2 weeks. Plus, I have friends who write article every 2 weeks. So basically, every week there's a fresh article, either mine or from a friend. They'll also see a link to buy the book. It takes you right to Amazon to buy the book. And if you buy the book, this book's 5 years old, but I have four editions. So the fourth edition, what I do is every year or two, I just add a new chapter. So they should immediately go to the last chapter, which is Trump 2.0, and they'll get a very fresh, just a few months old series of projections of how 2025 and 2026 will look. And then if they have time, they can read the rest of the book, but just start with the last chapter.
SaveTheWest.com, SaveTheWest.com. Kenneth Abramowitz, I appreciate your time. Thanks for hopping on the show. SaveTheWest.com. I hope people will go to the website, check it out. And again, the name of the book, it puts a lot of the thoughts that we were talking about in chapter form, The Multi-Front War, Defending America from Political Islam, China, Russia, Pandemics, and Racial Strife. Anybody see that ABC News reporter that Trump dressed down yesterday and said, "You're a horrible person and a bad reporter"? I didn't see the whole montage. I saw two different slicings and dicings of it. One of them was a slice and a dice in which she had asked about the Epstein list, and he said, "You could ask that question politely, but you have an attitude." Then I saw another clip where the rebuke came after she talked to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and said, people in your country used a bone saw on a guy, and you're a horrible dictator. What say you? And then I heard that Trump did that retort based on that. So I'm not exactly sure, but he dressed down that ABC News reporter. What's funny is last night I learned that the ABC News reporter that was so very tough, that tough woman, that reporter from ABC News, guess what? She was the one that took cue from the Biden White House and would submit her questions in advance. And they had a screenshot of one of Joe Biden's cue cards that were seen. That's how they knew they were submitting questions in advance. And when Joe Biden was going to take her question was spelled out for Joe Biden. Her question submitted in advance was, "Joe Biden, President Biden, how do you see your legacy moving forward?" And that was the question. So that little reporter ad is a great example of Trump derangement syndrome. And you just have to kind of find it laughable at the very least that the woman who was asking about the legacy of Joe Biden when he's sitting there trying not to maybe crapped himself already is really going to become a badass there in the press conference yesterday. She got dressed down amazing. But if you think she's a great reporter, just compare and contrast. She has one shot. Joe Biden didn't talk to the media every day. He rarely talked to the media. And her one shot was asking him about his legacy. And she submitted that question in advance so that she could get permission from the regime to to ask that question. So not a good reporter, ABC News. But again, remember, ABC News is a company that's still in their news division, by the way, in their news division counts The View as news programming. So just letting you know that that's not their entertainment division, that's in their news division. And I thought it was interesting to point out that Bob Iger, who's the chairman of the Disney company, who owns ABC, ESPN, etc., they just built a Disney park or a Disney themed event center in Saudi Arabia. And so, the old reporter from ABC News might want to pay attention that if her own boss, who signs her paychecks, can do business with the Saudi Arabia, sometimes I'm sure the Americans can as well. Is Saudi Arabia a fantastic country? No. Do you have to kind of watch out for them? Probably so. But throughout time, we've been allies with a lot of people, and sometimes you don't always get the best of friends, but there's strategery in why they have to be your friends. I mean, I look at one of the most tyrannical countries that oftentimes it gets neglected. If you want to know one of the most tyrannical first world allies of ours that behaved like mad monsters during COVID, the nation of Australia. It was absolutely ridiculous how the Australian government treated their people. I think they violated human rights. I think they violated individual rights. I think they stood to the antithesis of what Australia should have been. And yet we're still friends with Australia, but they should be rebuked for how they treated people. We were at one time in WW2, we were buddies with Stalin. I mean, FDR and Stalin were running mates there. As friends, they were hanging out in the hood together because they had another enemy. And sometimes you have to come together and do what's best for your country. And sometimes the politics of it, you may not approve of everybody. So watch the Saudi Arabians. They have had a track record, but again, you got China out there that's breathing down everybody's neck, and they want to have a global footprint, and we can't allow that to happen. That's why President Trump says we need to be the leaders of AI rather than the communist countries be the leader of AI. But yeah, America has had many strange bedfellows throughout the years, and Stalin would be a great example of that, and the Saudi Arabians could be an example of that in some sense as well. But we'll find out. The Australians, I think, have been a very strange bedfellow for us as well at times, especially during the COVID. I love Australia. Got a friend I was with on Monday, and he's heading back to Australia. He's heading to Australia to visit. I think he leaves Thursday or Friday tomorrow. Maybe we're going to tell him about Australia, how wonderful it is. But we sometimes partner with countries that are not necessarily the beacons of freedom that we would like them to be. As a matter of fact, most countries in the world are not the beacons of freedom we'd like them to be, but they can still end up being our allies for various and sundry reasons. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that I mentioned this earlier, 1 week from today, I will be en route to the beautiful country of Rwanda. I go there not because, well, I love it there. I think it's a fantastic country, very safe country. Maybe one day you can go with us. We'll do a public trip here in 2026 and take some friends with us. If you want to go, let us know. info@jimmylakey.com. We'll get you that information as it becomes available. But I want you to remember River's promise as I go there. I go there because I made a promise. And if you're new to the show, I made a promise to my son, who was adopted from Rwanda, that he was too young to know what the promise was at the time. But I didn't want him to ever look at a photo of the kids that I was holding at the orphanage he was in and say, I didn't want him to ever look at the photos and say, gosh, who are those kids and what happened to them? And I go, I don't know what happened to them. We just got the hell out of there. So I made a promise that we're going to take care of all the kids in the orphanage, and we got those kids adopted into adoptive homes in Rwanda, closed up the orphanage with the help of the government and another agency over there. And we kept going. I thought my work was done, but then we found kids that literally were very prone to infant or childhood toddler death because of just bad conditions. Kids who had no clothes, kids who never had the hope of ever attending school a day in their life because of the school fees. And so I decided to keep the promise going, and we've done that, and now building Legacy Christian Academy there. I'll be there next week, and I'm going to do some pre-Christmas shopping. Every year we buy hundreds of pairs of shoes for kids. It's a commodity there because a lot of these kids, if we don't buy them shoes, they'll never have a pair of shoes. And I've told you there's stories of the kids with just the tops of their shoes. The soles are worn out, but they don't have new shoes. And so they'll still walk barefooted, but the top of their foot's covered because they figure some protection is better than none. These are the kids we're working with. And if you want to help us, we'd appreciate that. You can sponsor one of these children directly that attend to our school. Go to the Rivers Promise website, riverspromise.org. Just hit sponsorship. You can pick a child. It's $65 a month, and that gives their health insurance, health insurance. That gives them daily nutrition. That gives them access to the school, their uniforms, etc. And it also takes care of some basic life amenities as they are needed for the child and their family. If you just maybe don't want a specific child, $10 buys a kid a new uniform, and most of these kids, the uniform is their only clothing set, so they wear them literally 24/7. And our uniforms get pretty ragged. Unlike put on your play clothes when you come home. They don't have that. And so if you'd like to help, $10 is a uniform, $25 is a pair of shoes. What else we got? $30 feeds a child 2 meals a day for 30 days. Just so many great opportunities for you to give. We have right now, I've mentioned this on the show. We'll talk about more after I get back. But we have $300-something thousand of matching funds that are sitting there that if you can make a gift of any amount, but put it towards our building fund to build the rest of the primary school campus for Legacy Christian Academy, you give $1,000, that becomes $2,000. If you give $5,000, it becomes $10,000. So we have matching funds sitting there, but we have to raise the money for the match to deliver and be available. Riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. What you give today, literally, I will oversee it personally and its delivery. I will take it there. I will deliver it. We'll be putting out videos of me in the markets and doing the pre-Christmas shopping as well. I will be there, my friends, and I really hope you'll go there with me with your sponsorships of uniforms of children. I know producer Chad sponsors kids. I sponsor kids. There's Scott, Candace, and his wife, Candace, and sponsor 4 kids, and they get letters from their kids. And Scott, we always appreciate. Scott's been over to Africa with us many times, and he's been on his own. He fell in love. He and his wife, Candace, fell in love with it so much they've gone back on their own. It's a fantastic place. I'd like you to go with me next week, and I know it's too late for you to get a plane ticket, and I'm not really going to take you with me. But if you want to make a donation today, what you start giving today, tomorrow, and through the weekend, just know that I will hand deliver that, and we will impact kids, and you will literally see me with the kids that we're impacting, because we'll be doing some shows from over there next week, the part of next week and the following week, first week of December, we'll be doing some shows from there, and we will just would love to have you follow along and know that, wow, the impact Jimmy just made, I help pay for that, and you can do that. Riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. Love to hear from you and make that donation. 501c3 if you're end of year giving, as you're contemplating that DAF account, director advised funds, etc. If you got that, whatever it is, maybe it's just a small bit. Go back to the Bible. Sometimes that widow's mite, look that up, is a very powerful thing that is very blessed. So don't think that your gift is too small. Do not think your gift is too small. Riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com, either way, and you'll hear the whole story. Little documentaries there showing the great work we do there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have in my right hand, are you ready for this? It is time for the stolen meme section of the show. Talking about China, we search the world over and we steal intellectual property. We just blatantly steal memes is what we do. We find a whole bunch of memes. If you have one to send us, a lot of you like to do this as well. info@jimmylakey.com. It's just producer Chad and I are very busy, and we don't have time to create our own memes, and probably not that creative. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Let's do it. The meme roulette, at the end of it, you'll hear the China gong go off, and you will know that we've reached the ends of the earth, and China has even cutting us off from intellectual property theft. Ready? Let's do it. Round around. I've moved the microphone. It's in my way there. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Government. We owe China $1.12 trillion. Me. We don't owe China poop. You owe China $1.2 trillion. I owe Verizon $90. How are you going to sell? Oh, maybe you only have one phone on your plan. I got a few phones on my plan. It's more than $90, right? Maybe I should switch to Verizon. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. I never run with scissors. Actually, those last 2 words aren't necessary. I never run. Yeah, that's it. Round around the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Thanksgiving is about getting your entire dysfunctional family under the same roof and hoping the police don't get called. I'll be en route to Rwanda. I will land when you're waking up on Thanksgiving morning. I will be landing in Rwanda. It's from Colorado, it's about a 9-hour time difference. And I'll be landing there about 7:30 at night, Rwanda time, 7:50. And there are some great hotels that have American Thanksgiving meals that you can go. But I think I'll be getting in too late for that. So that's going to be sad. Round around the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. No one knows. Mom needs you to come over and fix whatever she did to the TV. Have you ever got that call? Yeah. Your mom needs you to come over and fix this thing that she did to the TV or the computer. Here we can do it again. Round and round the globe we go, where we steal the memes from. My globe is stuck. We have a broken globe. Oh, my God. We got to see if Donald Trump can fix it. Cigars. It's a noun, pronounced like that. And it's the glue holding this poop show together, my friends. It really is. I said that to producer Chad last night, and knowing that he would enjoy it because producer Chad and I enjoy smoking a fine cigar or 2 or 3 together. So, yeah, holding it all together. That's what makes the world go round. All right, let's see if we got any more memes. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Let's see. If you face swap Justin Bieber with Taylor Swift, you get a very cute lesbian couple. I don't even know who takes the time to Photoshop and face swap Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber. Well, I hope they're happy. I just hope they're happy. I don't judge. What you do in your bedroom is your own business, and I hope they enjoy driving a Subaru. That's what I hope. Round and round the globe we go. Where the globe was broken. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. There it is. The globe. We can no longer steal their intellectual property. We're making them feel dirty, just how much we stole there. All right, glad to have you here on the show. Don't forget riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. Check out the website. Make a donation today. And again, what you give today, I literally Scott says, Jimmy blew a bearing on the globe. I hope not. I don't know where we got that globe from. I think it was a gift like a white elephant gift in the office one year. I don't know where it came from. All right. Anyway, yeah. Stealing memes is a harsh term. We borrow. It's out on a loan. Listen, we don't have to pussyfoot around here. We can just be as blunt as we want to be here on this show. So we can say we stole it, but we really didn't. I mean, we're showing you the sources, the source codes up there. So get over yourself. All right. What you give this week, I will be able to hand deliver it on your behalf. And I mean that sincerely, just because this is not some organization that it's very hands-on. It's my organization I started. And I'd love to take your donation over there and bless a child. Somebody asked, do they celebrate Thanksgiving? Not the same way we do, but I tell you, you'll never meet a more thankful group of people that thank you and thank you and thank you, because we're giving hope to kids who would have had no hope at all. It's a great work that we're doing. We're honored to do it, and I'm thankful for all of you who participate with us. Riverspromise.org, any gift, any size, I'll deliver it over there and make the impact that you want to make. Riverspromise.org, riverspromise.com. Go to the website, and I'll see you here tomorrow. May God bless you. May God bless America. Jimmy Lakey, peace. I'm out of here.